Hello, everyone. Welcome to News Extra. A special guest today, 3rd District Congressman Adrian Smith. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Great to be here.
A little bit of a break from the hustle and bustle of Washington, D.C.
Well, a little bit.
Very short one.
Certainly still working around the district, meeting with folks all around the Panhandle this week.
What kind of subjects are they bringing up, issues that they're bringing to your attention?
Oh, it's a variety. I know trade is on the minds of a lot of folks.
Yeah, sure.
The state of the agriculture economy is very heavy topic these days.
Yeah, definitely. And it sure sounds like we've maybe made some progress in that realm, especially with China, perhaps moving forward a little bit with the Trump administration and some of their negotiations.
I believe so. I think that any discussions right now relating to trade in China are discussions that probably would not have happened otherwise. I'm not a fan of tariffs. I also think, though, that moving forward, we are seeing some progress made. USMCA is ready to go. We're ready to take that up in the House. It's my hope that Speaker Pelosi will choose to bring that up. It contains provisions that actually Democrats have been asking for some time. It is a bipartisan agreement. That's been very clear from the Trump administration. We need to get this done. We do not want to see the collapse of trade in North America.
No, not at all. And of course, the big issue is whether or not something like that ends up being a political football and used potentially to prevent the president from getting a win, for lack of a better term. Do you anticipate that might be a problem going forward, or will it be cleared away?
I think that is one of the hurdles. I think it can be overcome. I would think that the presidential candidates would like to see this issue resolved before getting too far into the fall campaign, into next year, certainly. There are a lot more reasons to get this done sooner rather than later,
sure,
and to get it done, despite what it would look like for the president. The president campaigned on this. It should surprise no one that he wanted to do this. The fact is, the relationships between the three countries in North America, we want to strengthen those, especially as we are competing against China on an unlevel playing field. Of course, we're trying to address that as well. But USMCA, I'm optimistic that we can get that done about mid-fall, I think. Mexico addressed some labor concerns that Democrats in the U.S. have been raising literally for decades.
Sure.
So I think another good sign on the trade front is Japan. Japan is a huge economy. They tend to like our products, especially our beef, even though they have a hefty tariff on some U.S. beef. So being able to bring that tariff down on U.S. beef through a trade agreement will make U.S. beef more affordable to consumers in Japan. That's great for them. That's great for our producers, and it's time we get this done.
Okay. You mentioned the presidential candidates on the Democrat side.
Which ones?
All of them. Here recently with the debates the first round of debates that just concluded. But one of the issues that has cropped up here recently is the border again, with some visits that have taken place down there. We've got some money now that's headed that way to take care of the humanitarian crisis. Do we think that eventually there may be some money that could be in there to beef up the security, whether it's a wall or more enforcement? Do we anticipate that potentially down the road?
I think so. The fact of the matter is, the president, he certainly pointed to the fact that we have a crisis at the border. He was roundly dismissed by his opposition, so to speak. Speaker Pelosi said there's no crisis. Other Democratic leaders said there's no crisis. There is a crisis. There is a humanitarian crisis, and the president has been wanting to address this. Now he would describe his ideas in a way that not all the Democrats like. I get that.
Sure.
The fact of the matter is, we need to address these things at the border. We are on our way to getting that done. ICE and Customs and Border Protection, they're integral parts of this. We should not dismiss them as an agency. We should really utilize the resources we already have, and now that there will be more resources in terms of funding sent that direction, hopefully we can shore this up border security is a main component to the solution. When we have literally thousands of people heading in groups of thousands toward the border from the south, should be something that should concern all of us.
And it certainly has to be a positive development, however, that Mexico is stepping up their enforcement of taking care of individuals as soon as they get into Mexico or wanting to get into
Right.
Mexico. It certainly has to help our situation on our end, I would think.
Well, definitely, and it's not just Mexico
Sure.
that is the issue. They're the ones that happen to have the border with our country, but it's multiple countries throughout South America, and obviously, life in America is better. That doesn't mean we should just erase the border and open up everything in a way that I think can undermine a lot of our institutions here in America.
But it has to be concerning that some of the refugees, the immigrants coming to the border are not necessarily from Central America. We have cases of individuals coming across that are from Africa and also from Asia as well, and that has to be somewhat of a concern as well, I would think.
Right. Well, we need to look at all of our immigration policy. I'm the great grandson of German-Russian immigrants who ultimately settled here in Scottsbluff County. I'm very proud of that. There was a system with Ellis Island that was pretty strict, actually, and not all the members of my great grandparents' group and the family were allowed to come into America.
Yeah.
Some were turned away, and but when you look at our immigration policy, let's perhaps update that in a way that can encourage folks to go about it the right way rather than encourage folks to go about it the wrong way. Right now, there are many folks going about it the wrong way, and that causes problems.
Yeah, and perhaps some reforms into there, the time frame in which it takes for somebody to become a citizen, and the costs involved, because it's not inexpensive. If you talk to new citizens who've immigrated here, they say it's a lengthy and an expensive process, actually.
It's bureaucratic. It involves a lottery system of your name getting drawn, and I've long said that our immigration policy should not be based on someone having to spend several thousands of dollars hiring a lawyer, waiting several years, and then through a lottery system getting lucky. We can do better than that. To have a system where the standards are understandable and that people see that something works and that functions appropriately and engages accordingly, rather than just trying to go around the system. That's not good.
And kind of shift gears to talk a little bit more about security, not our border security per se, but national security, with the president taking a step into North Korea, a couple of steps. There were some pundits out there that have said that you shouldn't do that. It legitimizes Kim Jong-un and his regime. Do you have concerns about the fact that he did so, or is that something that perhaps could foster relations and a positive development down the road with regard to their weapons and eventually improved relations?
I think there's some potential to get North Korea to do the right thing. Their own people are suffering, and I think when the rank and file citizens of North Korea see President Trump acting in a way that reflects what freedom and opportunity can deliver for the people, I think that can send the right message. And obviously, Kim Jong-un is a problem. And I think it obviously surprised a lot of people that the president did pay a visit to the DMZ. But I think there is strong potential there. We shouldn't just dismiss it out of hand and say, well, that's bad. I think looking forward, though, we can increase our expectations, though, of what can be delivered.
And of course, it has to be part and parcel with the relationship with China, because the Chinese, North Korean tie is extremely strong.
Right.
Between those two countries. It's kind of a dual channel of diplomacy that has to be done to encourage the Chinese to, I guess, lean on the North Koreans to perhaps open things up and make some changes.
Right. But when we can send the message to North Korea, the citizens of North Korea, that life can be much better with more freedom and opportunity, and more commerce and just a more open system, I think they can get a taste of that and can demand more changes from Kim Jong-un and the leadership in North Korea.
Well, speaking of freedom and independence, of course, 4th of July weekend. Any big plans while you're here in town?
I'm around western Nebraska all week with family and constituents, and I'm grateful always to be able, when we're not in session, I'm somewhere around the 75 counties of the 3rd District in Nebraska generally. So like I said, there's fresher air and more common sense here in Nebraska than in Washington.
A fair statement, and we'll take it any day. Congressman Adrian Smith joining us on News Extra today. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.